Welcome back to the Surviving Retirement podcast. Today we're diving into a crucial retirement decision: when to take your Canada Pension Plan, CPP, or Quebec Pension Plan, QPP benefits. Should you take them at 60, wait until 65, or maybe delay to 70? There's no one-size-fits-all answer, and a lot of people don't realize just how much this decision can affect their retirement income. I am accompanied by Danny, who will be leading the conversation. Thank you for being here, Danny.
Absolutely, and thank you for having me. And if you missed our first episode, we covered the basics of Canada's retirement system, how CPP, QPP, OAS, and GIS work, and how they all fit together. But today we're diving deeper into the key question: when should you take CPP or QPP, and what's the best strategy for maximizing it? We've got a lot to unpack, so here are the questions we'll answer today. When does it make sense to take CPP, QPP early? What are some things that people get wrong about the CPP, QPP? Why do people hesitate or simply refuse to delay? What exactly are the benefits of delaying CPP and QPP? And what's a better way to think of retirement income? So let's get into it.
Let's get started.
Before we begin, Peter, would you mind giving us a quick refresher on what CPP and QPP are?
Yeah, both CPP and QPP are government-run pension plans that provide secure and inflation-adjusted retirement income based on how much you contributed during your working years. The Canada Pension Plan, CPP, covers most provinces, while the Quebec Pension Plan, QPP, is a nearly identical program for residents of Quebec.
So to start, some people say they need to take CPP as soon as possible. When does that make sense?
Great question. There are definitely cases where taking CPP, QPP early makes sense. If someone has a shorter life expectancy, it might be worth considering taking CPP, QPP early. If you have a family history of serious health conditions that tend to shorten life expectancy, it may be a good idea to start receiving benefits sooner rather than later, as you might not live long enough to fully benefit from delaying. Another reason would be if someone is in urgent need of income. If they don't have other sources of cash flow like savings or investments, and they need the money for basic living expenses, taking CPP QPP early can help provide that financial security. Lastly, if someone has stopped working early and isn't contributing much more to the plan, delaying doesn't provide a significant benefit. In this case, taking the pension earlier could make sense, as you're unlikely to increase your future payout by waiting.
So if someone's in these situations, it's a good idea to take it earlier?
It might be. While delaying is often the better strategy for those who can afford to wait, in these situations, taking CPP QPP early can be a practical and smart decision. It's hard to say yes to that question, since it really depends on someone's personal situation. Taking these benefits earlier becomes an issue when someone would have benefited more from taking it later, as they receive a much bigger amount.
Which is why it's important that we have this discussion, right?
Correct. We're here to tell people the benefits of taking it early or later so they can make a more informed decision for themselves.
So now that we've talked about when it makes sense to take CPP, QPP early, let's dive into the other side of things. Why would someone want to delay CPP if they don't need it right away?
Great follow-up, Danny. If you don't need the income right away, delaying can actually provide some major benefits. First, delaying means larger monthly payments. For every year you wait past 65, your benefits increase by 8.4%. If you delay until 70, that's a 42% increase over what you would have received at 65. For retirees in Quebec who are eligible for the QPP, they can actually delay until 72, which provides an even higher increase, about 58.8% over what they'd get at 65. That's a pretty substantial boost to your monthly income. Second, CPP QPP is guaranteed for life. Unlike investments, where the value can fluctuate, CPP QPP is secure. It lasts as long as you do. You don't have to worry about running out of money because the government's backing it. Another key benefit is better protection against inflation. The payments from CPP QPP increase annually to keep up with the cost of living. This helps ensure that you maintain your purchasing power as prices go up over the years. And here's another key point. While you might start tapping into your RRSPs, TFSAs, and non-registered accounts earlier on, delaying your benefits means that when you do start taking it, you'll be relying less on those assets. The more secure income you have from CPP QPP, the less impact investment fluctuations will have on your retirement. As a bonus, having a smaller RRSP or RIF upon your death can significantly reduce your tax bill, which is a great thing for your estate.
Wow, that's a lot to take in. It sounds like delaying CPP QPP really has some big advantages if you're in the position to do so.
It definitely does, Danny. If you can afford to wait, delaying could really set you up for a more secure retirement.
That's great advice. Now I understand why some people choose to delay. It's all about the long term. We've talked about the benefits of delaying CPP and QPP, but I know some people hesitate because they worry about the future of these benefits. Some even think the government might take them away. Should they be concerned?
Yeah, it's a common concern. Many people fear that CPP QPP will run out of money or that the government will cut them. But the reality is these programs aren't funded by the government's general budget. They're funded by contributions from workers and employers, which makes them far more secure than other government programs.
So the government can't just cut them off like they could with other programs?
Exactly. CPP QPP are designed to be self-sustaining. They're funded directly through payroll contributions. If anything needs to change, it's carefully reviewed and adjusted over time to ensure the system remains strong.
But some people still fear the government will change the rules, like reducing payments or altering eligibility. Is that something people need to worry about?
Well, it will always be a concern. But here's the thing. The government has a huge incentive to keep it in place. It's a program that millions of retirees rely on. While adjustments to benefits or eligibility can happen, these changes are usually gradual and well-planned, and not something that would drastically reduce what people are entitled to. In fact, the CPP and QPP are planned to be increased gradually, as payroll contributions are also increased. Up until 2019, the CPP was meant to replace about a quarter or 25% of a retiree's average work earnings, and is planned to be increased to about a third in the future. This will take multiple decades, however.
So it's not something people need to worry about disappearing overnight?
Exactly. The likelihood of CPP, QPP disappearing or drastically changing is incredibly low. These programs have been around for over 50 years and are built to last.
That's reassuring. It sounds like it's safer than people think, considering it's funded through contributions.
That's right. The structure of CPP QPP makes them one of the most secure forms of retirement income. So, while it's natural to have concerns, the risk of CPP QPP disappearing is minimal.
So, along with that, what are some other common misconceptions people have about CPP QPP?
Well, one of the biggest misunderstandings is that many people think 65 is the default age to start CPP QPP. It's not that they think it's mandatory, but they assume it's just the age when everyone starts taking it.
So it's not really a rule, but more of a default assumption?
Well, 65 has traditionally been seen as the typical age for retirement, and many government forms are set up to nudge people toward taking it at that age. They don't emphasize the option to delay, which contributes to this misconception. People often don't realize they can start earlier or later, which limits their understanding of their options. This can make it seem like there isn't much flexibility, even though the rules actually allow for a lot more choice.
Got it. So what's another misconception people have about CPP QPP?
Another big one is that some people think they should take CPP QPP early and then invest it themselves to get a higher return. The problem is, volatile investments can make it really difficult to achieve the guaranteed 8.4% increase you get by delaying. Over the long term, that kind of steady growth is hard to match with most investments, especially if you're dealing with market ups and downs.
Yeah, I thought of that option too, but growing your investment so steadily seems very unlikely.
It does. On top of that, there's the peace of mind that comes with the guaranteed 8.4% increase. You don't have to worry about market volatility or whether your investments will perform as expected. With CPP and QPP, you're guaranteed that steady, predictable income for life, which can really help reduce stress in retirement.
That sounds reassuring, especially with everything else going on in retirement.
Absolutely. While investing can be a great way to build wealth, CPP QPP offers a level of security that other investment options just can't provide. And when it comes to your retirement income, that security can be invaluable.
All right, we've talked a lot about when to take CPP and the benefits of delaying. But let's take a step back. How does CPP and QPP fit into a bigger retirement plan? What's the best way to think of these benefits?
That's a great question, because retirement planning isn't just about maximizing one benefit. It's about making sure all your income sources work together. A simple way to think about this is by dividing retirement expenses into two different types.
Two types of spending?
Yes. The first type is for routine expenses. That's all the essential, predictable expenses you'll have throughout retirement. Things like housing, groceries, healthcare, and utility bills. And you can tap into your routine spending buckets for these expenses. Some of your buckets include the CPP or QPP and OAS, because these are predictable and secure income sources. This is why deferring these benefits, if you can afford, can be very useful, since you'd have a bigger bucket.
So that's your steady, reliable income, money you can count on no matter what.
Right. The second type is for non-routine spending, things that aren't essential but still important. This could be travel, home repairs, a new car, or unexpected medical costs. That's where your non-routine buckets such as RRSPs, TFSAs, and non-registered investments come in. These accounts grow over time, but they're also subject to market fluctuations, so they aren't as predictable as CPP or OAS.
So if someone has bigger routine spending buckets, they don't have to worry as much about market ups and downs?
Exactly. Delaying CPP or QPP grows that routine spending bucket, meaning you rely less on your personal savings in later years. This reduces financial stress and gives you more flexibility. Plus, if markets take a downturn, you won't be forced to sell investments at a bad time just to cover the essentials.
So it's kind of like having two types of food supplies. Your routine spending bucket is like your pantry staples. Things like rice, pasta, and canned goods. They're reliable, self-refilling, and you know they'll be there when you need them. Your non-routine spending bucket is more like ordering takeout. It's a nice treat, but you can't always count on it to feed you every day. The idea is to have your pantry, your secure pension income, well stocked, so you don't have to worry about running out when you need it the most.
That's a fun analogy, Danny. It's all about balancing security and flexibility so you can enjoy retirement with fewer financial worries.
It really sounds like delaying CPP and QPP can provide a lot of financial security in retirement.
It absolutely does. And one major aspect of CPP and QPP to keep in mind is that you will receive these amounts for the rest of your life, and they will increase with inflation.
That's a big deal. A lot of retirees worry about running out of money later in life.
Exactly. And that's why a higher CPP or QPP means more reliable income in those later years, when people may not want to or be able to manage investments as actively. It takes a huge weight off their shoulders, knowing they'll always have a steady income.
Not to sound like a broken record, but just to be clear, delaying isn't for everyone, right?
It is not. There are situations where taking CPP QPP early makes sense. If someone has serious health issues and a shorter life expectancy, or if they need the income immediately because they don't have other savings to rely on.
So it really comes down to personal circumstances.
The key is planning ahead and making an informed choice. Many retirees take their benefits without much planning, and many are missing out.
Yeah, and that's why getting professional advice can make such a difference.
If you're wondering when the best time to take CPP or QPP is for you, consider booking a free 30-minute consultation with a member of our team. Just click the link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen. If you want to keep up with the latest news and industry trends, consider subscribing to our newsletter. You'll also receive a complimentary estate planning tool to help your loved ones with the eventual transition.
And if you found this helpful, make sure to leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. We'll be covering more key retirement planning topics, and you won't want to miss them.
Next time, we will discuss old age security benefits and how to get the most out of them. Until then, be kind to yourself.
And to others.
And we'll see you in our next video.
Already can't wait to talk about OAS. I have so many questions.
Keep them for next time, Danny. Write them down.